Hello there. Hello, my friends.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm
Daren,
well.
you are on mute, my friend. There you go. So now we know you're not
I
AI.
thought the producer unmuted me. My bad.
Oh wait, I'm the
Sorry.
producer too. I do it all. I have all the jobs.
Yeah,
You are. You got the
Okay.
job.
I got all the
It's the world of
jobs.
DIY.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, that's fantastic. Oops. Oops.
Some
Oops.
feedback.
I am
happened?
getting nothing. I am getting some feedback. I don't know why. So that's good. I
The
know.
feedback queen.
A feedback queen. I know.
Another dig. Okay.
It's all
Another
good.
day of
It's
feedback.
all good.
Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to
hear us complain about
everything.
feedback again.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Well, I am so excited to be back with you guys. As always, it's so wonderful to talk with you. And some people are joining us, which is wonderful. I am going to kick this off by saying we got such a great response last week, and I heard so much feedback about the conversation that we had and just everything that we talked about. And so it was made sense to start doing it again. So we thought, let's do it every week, right? We talk anyway. Why not bring everybody along with us to have some fun? And the topic that came up, the piece that came up for us over and over again was the element, the piece that we talked about when it came to trust. And I have to share with you. Oh, I should probably do an introduction since not everybody knows us. I just assumed that everyone knows us now. So apologies. Oh my gosh. I'm not a good producer. I'm not good at
The
this.
feedback queen's hitting a big head. Okay, here we go.
Wow. Okay, well, I am Shera Haliczer. I am the founder and chief momentum officer of Engage 3P, and I am joined by two of my nearest and dearest friends. Daisy, I'll start with you. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Daisy Watkins, founder, owner of DW Concepts, and I'm in the marketing space, by more marketing strategy. So I am very thrilled to be part of this weekly powwow, basically is what we call it, and would love to get people's feedback and love for you guys to join us on a regular basis. I think our goal is to have more people in the panel, right, Shera? To see if they can contribute to this community. So awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We want to, for anybody who wants to join us on the conversation, we would love to have you. Just pop me a message in LinkedIn or send me an email and we will definitely bring you on board. It would be wonderful to have anybody that wants to join. Daren, tell us about you.
Yes. Hey, real simple. Daren L. Fields, AI solution consultant, value architect. What does all that mean? I'm a RevOps guy, and I show people how to use AI. So it's a lot of fun, and I've been having a blast lately. So looking forward to just doing some jam sessions and some riffs on this. And yeah, I agree. I can't see who's out there, which annoys me because I've been public speaking since I was 13. So I have no idea how big this audience is. The bigger, the better for me. But I'd love to have some people join us up on this stage. So that'd be great.
Definitely. We can talk about anything we want to talk about. We started talking about AI, Daren. You really brought me into this. You and I have known each other for 9 years and worked together and had loads and loads of fun doing it, selling tech. But the AI thing, in all fairness, was new to me. And you're the one that looped me in and brought me far deeper into this than I ever anticipated going. I will share with you, and we will get talking about trust. Thank you, darling. But here's the thing I will tell you. The level of frustration. I was trying to do a very simple little image today. I uploaded my picture. I uploaded my logo. I told the words. And that stupid thing, I don't know what it did. It didn't look like me. It didn't have the words I put. I cursed it. I said, what the hell? I can't. I don't trust it. I can't trust it to do anything. And the thing about the trust, when people said this is the thing that was resonating, I wasn't going to talk about that because that just happened 2 hours ago. The thing I really wanted to bring up was this crazy story that I heard. Daren, you may know if it's true or not, that some lawyers, I don't know how many, went and wrote briefs to present on behalf of their clients with a GPT, assumed that the research was correct, assumed that it was written properly, and are now facing disbarment. Now, Is that, I mean, where are we in this, right? The topic is why humans are still valuable. It's because we can't trust it. It isn't everything, right? I mean, you're the expert in this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's a bit of a concern for me how fast people are taking it at face value and running with it. And as my friend Terry Callahan says, you need humans to just double check all of the hallucinations. That's really what you need to do. And as far as the humans matter, I mean, they really matter, because that's a classic example. I have a similar story. I once did a cut and paste, right? That's what we call that now in the game, cut and paste. Hey, ChatGPT, you go really fast, so do this for me real quick. And I was actually in a conversation around the globe on WhatsApp, and I had cut and paste. I was in the middle of something with the family down on the Strip in Las Vegas, and I wanted to have a conversation, but I wanted to get back to the family. So I loaded something into my mobile ChatGPT. I did it. I cut and pasted, and I answered it, and I never checked it. Our friendship has never been the same, because he wrote me back and he says, "Is this you or AI?" Question mark, question mark, question mark. And I felt terrible. So, we can all over rotate on AI, and we can get into trouble really quickly with AI. In motorsports, we say you got to slow down, go fast to go slow to go fast. That was a classic example of slow down, Daren. Yeah. Double check it. Hey, maybe even just use it as an idea, and then talk to text in for the sake of speed, and make it your own. Just take the theme. I appreciate the shortcut on the research that he did for me, everything else, but do it. But yeah, it's a problem. I mean, this is really going to get interesting. And this is now the thing is, this is what Elon Musk and all those guys have been talking about, but they've been in it since 2015. They've been playing with it since then. We're all just still year 2 in, and we're starting to learn these lessons, right? No better teacher than failure. So yeah, before you do anything, double, triple check it, because you're still the human. You're still the one that's got to put your stamp on it.
But and Jason, I want to get to you on your end. Excuse me for interrupting you. No, but if the whole point of me is to go to a GPT to do the research, and then I have to go and double check it, what's the point? What value is that bringing?
It's not really double checking it. Are you validating that you're the one that you're speaking about yourself? Are you putting in your input, your human touch, your human experience to the content? It's your story. You lived it, you learned from it. So it's your authenticity, it's your experience that you're expressing. I said this on the last conversation we had. Everybody can be efficient with AI. A lot of marketing people are having AI create the content, put in their captions, the whatever post they're going to put. Those can be done by AI. But if you read it and you can slap your name to replace the name that's there, you're just another AI prompt that came out. They can automate it, but if they don't review, even the image says something to the human about, your message, it's just an image. It's just another AI image. So an example, I didn't get any likes from it, but for me, my frustration when Claude went down, I felt like forever. It's only 10 minutes. I was going crazy. Like, what am I going to do now? I'm going to have a blank sheet of paper and actually type my thoughts. You know what I mean? It is still my thoughts. I still have to do that with AI, but AI amplifies it for you. Again, AI can make you look credible, but it cannot make you be credible. That's the difference.
So Daren, you introduced me to Perplexity, right? Which was one I had never heard of. It seems to be, as the tools go a little more powerful. I saw a Medium article today that AI, what did it say about ChatGPT, that ChatGPT 5.0 was a downgrade. Somebody was criticizing, the technology already. I mean, there's so much out there. How does somebody know what to do, both personally and professionally, right? How would they know where to go?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think we've talked to this ad nauseum, but I think it's important for the audience. these GPTs, LLMs do have a bit of a personality to them. So they start to fall into certain tracks.
Mhm.
But I think that, again, we keep saying it over and over again, AI, affects everything, but it doesn't fix everything. It might change things, everything from massive to small. We got all the hype. But the reality of it is that it's really about keeping on track, like keeping in track with the personality. I personally have multiple AI LLMs, and they're basically on an org board. So, for example, you get these personalities, they are trained by a personality, they take on the personality of the creator. That's just what they do. So with Gem, it's a really great, a great art tool. I love Gem for that. It's built kind of that way. Claude is the MBA, kind of stuffy. We've talked about that before.
Yep.
And then Perplexity's got all of them in there. Perplexity is an aggregator of AI LLMs, and it's free. And I think the important thing for a lot of folks on LinkedIn, we have a lot of salespeople in here, we have a lot of RevOps people on here, we have a lot of investors on here. And the reality of it is that Perplexity opens up basically what Perplexity does, because it monetizes through advertising and all kinds of AEO. There's all kinds of stuff going on with Perplexity.
Mm-hmm.
But all the personalities are in one place, and you can go there. And if one's not working very well, you can it's just going to come out in your response. You see what I'm saying? So, you've got Gem in there, you've got ChatGPT, Grok's in there, right, Days? You've got them all in there. So the great thing about Perplexity is that you can go there as a casual user and get a really well curated experience. A lot of those frustrations you started off the show with, they don't happen as much with Perplexity, because it'll give you this answer from this LLM, this answer from this one, and this one for that one, offer suggestions, pre-build prompts. But here's the thing for business people in the audience, here's the thing about Perplexity that's extremely interesting, is that now anybody can do it without a $20 subscription. Mm-hmm. Anybody can get to it. My kids use Perplexity all the time now instead of search engines, because it's a great, successful feeling. Now, what that means, though, is it's democratized. So AI is everywhere now, and it's completely free. And it's been that way for a couple of years, I agree. But Perplexity just takes it up a whole other level. So now, how do you get found? How do you get found? Perplexity is so good that it's stealing SEO business. So all of your SEO stuff, it's at risk. I'm not going to say it's going away, everybody. Don't panic. But it's at risk, because Perplexity is like SEO and AI on steroids. And so, Daisy, how am I going to get found on there for my unique business?
So, Daisy, before you answer that, Daisy, I would love to know, for everybody in the audience, if you would post in the chat, if you're comfortable, which LLM, do I say LLM or do I say GPT? Yeah. Right? Which one are you using? Is it ChatGPT? Is it Perplexity? Is it Claude? Is it Gemini? Is it, what's the Microsoft one? What's the one? Copilot. So if everyone would be open to putting in the chat what they're using, I'd just love to see that, so that we can understand what's out there and where everybody's comfortable. It would be fun to know. But Daisy, if you would.
Idea. Good. Thank you for doing that, Shera. I'd be very interested too on what majority of the folks are using. How do you get found by AI? There's no algorithms. There is some sort of algorithm, but it's not a real algorithm. What they're looking for are what they call human markers, what I call human markers. Human markers means you have to have credibility, your trustworthiness. Your content needs to provide value or answer to a solution or a problem or a question. Okay.
Who's deciding?
Yeah, AI can answer those questions, right? But in reality, AI is looking for markers and scouring now most of the LLMs have web capabilities to look for those answers, right? So they're looking for what they call human markers, meaning that did this particular company or person actually put some value, meaning did they put their own experience into solving an issue? What's the use case study that they put in their website that solved let's say in Daren's world, rev ops, kind of problems. In your world, Shera, how did you get people in such a disarray, board of VPs, right, in a company, get them to kind of get together? That's your knowledge. It's your experience that you're putting as your marker. They're looking. AI is also trained to look for
human markers.
Human markers. The vibe that they're getting, that this was written by a human being and that the experience flows through it. AI can read your copy and paste, like what Daren's saying, as a markdown, meaning that there's some words in there that they didn't put down, but AIs can read it between each other. So
one of the things that I read was that when people are creating stuff on a GPT, when they're asking it to write for them, and the dash, using the dash over and over and over again, was the first marker of, it's AI written, when the dashes are everywhere, right? Yeah. But that's a little, we're talking about trust, right? We want to be able to trust what we read. I don't know about anybody else. We're seeing, by the way, in the chat, we're seeing a lot of ChatGPT and quite a bit of Claude, which is interesting, because I thought that was more behind the scenes, but it's great. And some Gemini and a few things. People are using lots of them. Some people are using 3 and 4 and 5 different ones. I think a week or so ago, I saw this crazy video on Instagram or TikTok or something about animals. It was a cute animal video, and I got all engaged in it. Oh, look at the dog and the cat. And oh, look at the. And then it was like a grizzly bear and a kitten playing. And the guy pops up and he goes, yeah, this whole thing is AI. And he said, and in the talk over, he said, I thought it was, he said, I'm sharing it because I thought it was real too. And the whole thing was fake. Right? So
I saw a cat and an alligator. I was like,
there you go. There you go. So how do we know what we can trust? How do we know what we're reading, what we're seeing, what we're researching, where is this going, to best of your knowledge, right? And again, I'll put it out to our audience. What are your concerns from a trust perspective around what we're consuming? Because how will it know? I love what you said, the human element. How will it know it has a human element?
So if you think of it this way, right? Most businesses are using AI to help with their business.
Right.
And so AI also has to have its own credibility, whoever the maker is of AI. OpenAI for ChatGPT, and then you've got Grok, obviously, with X. So it's looking for human stories. It's looking for human experience that solve a solution. So, for example, for me, right, in my healthcare background space, in staffing, nobody can replace what I went through when I had to help fill over 500 nurses in 3 hospitals. Right? The chaos that happened. Along with that, nobody knows there's compliance that goes with it before you can bring in a nurse to a hospital. They have to go through all these tests. Are they, they have all the flu shots, all that kind of stuff. All those chaos behind, aside from making sure that there's 500 nurses that are going to be there, 100 per week that we're onboarding from different states. Those are lived experiences, right? And so if I'm selling, let's say, back into the staffing agency world, I would sell it. I would tell a story about, hey, we were able to help this hospital fill X amount because of our tenacity, and this is how we got to this point, right? Yes. So you're the one telling the story of how you got to that point to be able to help them. Those are layers of things that AI cannot replicate. They can create the scenarios for you, but they cannot create the real story behind it. You can ask it to amplify your story because you're not a wordsmith. But again, Daren, I'll let you speak to how NLP is going to be very important when AI searches for that. AI is going to look for, have you spoken naturally to me about your real life experience? AI can pull those experiences for you, and it knows. So humans have to work twice as hard to build their content so that AI can understand that it was also built by a human. Both AI, we need AI to help us amplify ourselves. Don't get me wrong, I love AI and I use it all the time to amplify things that I need to do or to be efficient, right? That's really the purpose of it, efficiency. Right. And how do I make AI trust me with my words? That's where we are all going, and that's where my work comes in to with my clients. And how is AI going to find you? And we've got a system that I've built for that proprietarily. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll talk more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Darren, you want to
Yeah, I
chime in?
mean, trust is the theme, right? And
Right.
in revenue operations, the game is completely turned on its head. I think I told you before, I've cracked the code on why some of these huge system integrators are not doing well in the marketplace, and we can all talk about that later. But the one thing that I've realized in working with Days and some other people is that the human side is definitely coming to light, and you and I have talked about that before. Now, here's from a revenue operations viewpoint, right? What I do every day, laying in AI over the top is an art form. It's just not easy. And I had some really nice compliments this morning about what I'm about to say. Is I was told for a long time by a lot of sales pundits back in the pre-AI age, right? But prior to the AI age, I call it the age and not the era. We all know why. In the AI age, your niche from business, your business niche. You've all been coached for decades. You got to have a niche. You got to have a niche, but nobody explained to you why.
Sure.
Now we come to this trust topic in the AI age, and here's why your niche really matters. Because they don't trust anything. And it was really fun when I was making videos and putting up the AI. They would, as my friend Paul says, they were all parlor tricks, but they faded. So what? Everybody can do it. AI is for everybody. It is like fire, to your point last show. It's for everybody. But when we look at the niche, why does it work? The mechanics behind it are this. If I am talking to somebody in transportation or automotive, which is really my niche, right? That's really where I'm strong.
Yep.
When they see these helmets, and when we see my authentic self, because I love racing and everything else, that's really me. When that human marker comes across, there's a human marker, the trophies, executives, CEOs go, wait, Daren, before we get started, can you explain the helmets to me? Because they're also in transportation. It's not just a trend. That's a whole other thing. Don't niche to a trend, niche to your soul. Because is that a cold call at that moment? The minute he stopped, I haven't met this person. They stop me and say, tell me about you. Is that a cold call anymore? No. And so when you niche out, you are instantly going to be in the reality of that individual. We talk about it in the book, the different types of reality. And if you want to get out of the cold call, the rough call, the awkward call, the weird call, and get to closing deals, funnel's great, guys. Funnel's great. But if you're burning leads all day, who gives a shit? I'm sorry. I'm a net new guy since I was 19 years old. When you get into your niche and you bring your brand, then AI will see it and it'll come to life. It'll come to life because it's real photos of me racing cars. It's real photos and conversations and slang of me in that niche. So when somebody in that niche is looking for somebody to do business with in that niche, and they ask that niche question, like who's got a motorsports background that knows how to make millions of dollars, then AI is going to go, I got this one dude. He's right here. I think he's pretty trustworthy. That's where we're at. That's the cool thing. Keep it real, folks.
It's very human, right? That's a very human element. You can't fake any of that, right? And so what I'm hearing is that AI, I think to your point, Daren, this is what you were saying, sits on top of or underneath, however you want to look at it, what is already authentic and true. The same is true, though, for anything, right? So if we think of this as just another tool to help us and not jump to the idea that, as you said before, it's going to fix everything, who I am authentically, look, my whole background is human, right? I did labor and employment work. I was in recruiting. I was a chief people officer. I was a change management leader. I sold HR technology as one human to another. I didn't make the tech. I said that a lot when they hated it. Not my problem. Complain all you want. And then started, and then Daren's heard me say that, and then started Engage 3P because what
at the UN.
I did. I said that at the UN. I go, that's not my fault. You hate it. I didn't make it. You want to buy it? It's fine. I don't care. But that's authentically me. It's who I am. And I think that the notion that we are who we are, right? That can't be faked. I once had a boss. It's funny. I wrote about this recently on my blog. I once had a boss who, when I started in the tech industry and was doing demos, when I would practice to her, she would say, do it like this, do it like this. And then she would want me to be her. And I struggled. I couldn't do it. It wasn't me. And I remember, I can remember clearly, it's funny, it was at Hertz Rent-A-Car in New Jersey that I said, I'm done. I have to be me. And it changed everything. Changed everything. Because if we're not ourselves, right? Number one, what I'm hearing is the AI is going to know it and it's not going to be successful, right? If we try to fake it. And it's only going to amplify what isn't authentic. It's not going to find what's authentic and who we are. And no matter what someone does, I don't care what we do as in a living, marketing, sales, human, everything, we're all selling something, right? From a medical perspective, I can say if I'm a doctor and I go into a room and I say, I need to give you this shot or do this operation, I'm going to sell them on the fact that they need to do it, right? So if we're not authentic and they don't trust us, AI is not going to fix that. AI is not going to make that any better. Am I on the right track? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to make if you try to use AI to fix a synthetic error, it doesn't do too good. It doesn't do very well. Days, I mean, you and I talked about when we're doing prototyping, when you and I are doing prototyping, right? Prototrack.ai, when you and I are on there coming up with these cool concepts and building trust. If it gets off the rail, if I make a mistake, if I get lazy in my prompting and, let me go back and add this and, let me go back and add that, it starts to get confused, doesn't it?
Correct.
It starts to to spiral in the wrong direction. And now my prototyping session with my multi-million-dollar customer is it's in trouble.
Correct.
So, I mean, I'll let you comment on it because you've been in the garage and the dungeon working with these things a little deeper than I have.
So you're right, Daren. You have to double check it, as you said in the beginning. We have to double check our work. Sometimes you get carried away, and and Daren, you've been doing this. It's like, what do you call that word where you're coding both through your LLM and through your code vibing app, right? And so
paired programming, paired design
is what I've been doing. And sometimes I over rely on one versus the other, where I have to trust that in this case, Lovable, it still has its job to do and it knows what to do. I'm just amplifying some of the prompts or the ideas using Claude. And that's where I freaked out when Claude went down for 10 minutes because I was in the middle of the build where the meat and potatoes of my product was going to be, and it went down on me. So what meant to me was that my train of thought was disrupted by AI as a human being. Okay.
Yeah.
So was I over relying on it? Probably a little bit because I was in the middle of something. And I have to admit, I did. And then when that happened, I panicked. Well, Claude knew what I was talking about this entire build, right? And then now you sleep on me and you wanted to go for a break. Why are you leaving me alone? That's kind of the feeling I got as a human being. But at the same time, I do have a backup where, guess what? I do have ChatGPT that helps me once in a while to go, hey, Claude is telling me this, but I want to run something by you. So as I learned this from my friend Daren here, you have to have your own employees for your AI. They have to serve a function each, right? If you over rely on one chat, right, to solve all those problems for you, it will then grab a whole bunch of information because it's not keeping on track. So to Daren's point, I went off rail again about a topic, but if I'm going to put it back in because I'm human, is that you have to go back and check the work, and you have to call it out. For an example, it kind of messed something up for me. So I went back to it and say, listen, you screwed up my code. I use those words. You screwed up my code. Now I got to go back and try and restore something that might not get restored. I want you to think big. I want you to think like me. Don't focus on one problem. Focus on the big picture on how it's going to affect the entire thing. Just like as a CEO, just like as you as a leader, you go to your employees, you double check their work or you check in on them. Hey, how are you going with that project? Is there something you need? Is there something you want? Same thing. You treat AI the same way. It is an employee. It has a lot of knowledge, but it doesn't know what you want it to do unless you tell it what you want it to do or expect it to do. Just like an employee, it might get lazy because it was doing redundant stuff like AI was doing with me, right? No, it's the thing over and over again. I'm changing the code for the same line that she wants me to do because it's a display thing. Here's the marketing person coming out of her. You know what I mean? AI is thinking that and it gets lazy. So you have to go back and go, oh, even though it said it completed it, guess what? Most people will move on and move to the next one. They do not check the work.
That is an unbelievably powerful image for me. The idea that your GPT is like an employee. I think one of the challenges that we have as leaders, right, is that managing expectation. And that's the thought that just came to me as you were talking about it. We need to manage the expectation of the people around us as well as the tools that we use. And I think that part of the conversation has been, from a publicity perspective, is again this, oh, AI is ending the world. It is going to take over all the jobs. It is going to, do everything, and we're not going to survive it, right? I think we talked about last week, somebody said that they tried to stop the AI and the AI came back saying, no, you can't stop me, right? It isn't human. It isn't human, right? We can always turn it off, right? I mean, there is that power of just, I'm done with you.
Exactly.
And I think that this notion of managing those expectations is that human element of what we need to be doing here, right? I think it's really challenging. I think also what I'm seeing with my clients and when I'm talking to people is managing the aspect of how are the humans in the company going to align with the technology, right? Daren, you told me months and months and months ago, you used the line, the silicone versus what is the other one? The silicone versus the carbon.
Silicon versus carbon-based.
Right.
Carbon-based employees and silicon employees.
So look, I love
I'm sorry, I hang out with too many technical people.
You do.
I hang out with too many technical people.
You do.
And I realize I really am a nerd. But yeah, I mean, we talk. I mean, for the HR people, right? For Marcus and some of the people on here, right? The org board of the future, which is like today, is going to be carbon-based and silicon-based. Yeah. So what I see in the paired programming, the paired selling, you're basically going to have a 2-for-1. So when you go into an interview, you're going to interview the human and you're going to interview their AI, their little sidekick, their mini me. We've talked about some of this before. The reality to me, though, is that, yes, you've got, for my private equity, for my private capital markets, people that are investing in businesses, they're asking me, what should the blend be? And that's a great question because it shows me that they understand carbon and silicon-based employee boards. And we've talked before about how for you HR folks and us software people and for you marketing people, you're going to have to really figure out how you're going to sell both of those at the same time. So how do you manage it? I can picture an org board with one human in the middle and then 2 or 3 GPTs around them that are specific for that job. So for example, RevOps, right? Prototyping. Mm-hmm. You're the main thing. You're the account executive. You got to close $1 million, $5 million deal, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You've got to go into prototyping. You have a couple different little bespoke special agents or AI agents, silicon-based employees that are your team that you've always wanted for years, but now they're yours. They're with you. They're your sidekicks. But you're the human. You have to do everything we talked about so far on this call. Double check the work, make sure they're good. Be a great leader. You as the human have to lead them. But paired sales, paired prototyping, paired programming, paired human resources, it's just going to be the two coming together. So now you come back to that resume. You do want to see some certifications. You do want to see now that they have the ability to tap into knowledge and they do have the ability to work efficiently. That's it. That's what I do. That's what I build for companies is I build them an org board with all these things on it.
Right. So on that CV, on that resume, we're in, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever, we were putting our skill set was Microsoft Office and Google, whatever. And now it's got to be AI functionality. I will say this, though, the thought that just came to mind as you were describing that as someone who comes from the HR side, I have a lot of issues with AI in recruiting because I don't think it's doing it well. I think there's so many challenges. I think it's missing the boat. I think it goes back to the very first thing we talked about, the authenticity of a human and what a human can offer that an AI can't pick up in a CV, right? In one page. I also think, though, that what we saw 15, 20 years ago in the beginning of social media, when recruiters were looking at your MySpace or your Facebook page and making decisions around, wow, what you've got out there in social media, I don't want that in my company. I think to some extent will hold true for what you were saying when it comes to AI, because if I go to Perplexity or Claude and I say, and I wouldn't know how to do this right now, but what is the AI footprint of Daisy Watkins? Is it going to be able to tell me then the things that I've done? Daisy did all of this work. And by the way, not that you would do this, Daisy, but there are these 3 articles that were clearly AI written that she produced. Do we need to be worried? Is that another trust aspect of who we are in the world today and something that we need to think about?
Well, I'll start, Daren. Trust is a feeling, right?
True.
So it's a human feeling. People forget that. Trust, it relates to, people just use trust as a word. I mean, think about it. When you hear the word trust, you go, oh, it's an adjective or something like that. It is a feeling. You trust somebody, right?
Yeah.
You trust that what
It's
they're
a gut
telling you.
feeling.
You're giving it and accepting the trust, right? Both ways.
Yeah.
So it's a human interaction. Think about it. So this is what I do, is I look at how humans are going to look at it. So we as humans buy or purchase with emotion, followed by logic, justifying our purchase or whatever that decision is. Right?
The justification isn't emotional?
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it might be very emotional.
Yeah, it could. You might have layers of still going to that emotion, but at the end, you're going to decide with logic. Logic or emotion? Is it a want, a need? And this is what we always tell ourselves: do I need it? Do I want it? Right? That's how we justify with the logic. Even though it's a want and need, a feeling, it's still logic. Do I want it or need it? You're trying to answer a question that's logical. Okay, so everything we do is going to be followed by logic. But emotion to sell is what the trust is what we're going after. So let's say again, we're selling, the company that I was with is selling, or the last company I was with, the CEO, we're selling to a healthcare organization to try and use our services, right? The person before me, another organization, our competitor, has 10,000 more nurses in their database, and that's what they're selling against us, right? Example. We have less than 10,000 that they have, but guess what? We have the reviews from other hospitals that are willing to talk to them, saying this company did a wonderful job. This person's team was able to, get to us at 2 a.m. in the morning when we needed 10 ICU nurses that called up sick during the flu season. You know what I mean? Those things. So they trusted our story, not our database. What we delivered to the previous client and what we're about to deliver to them. They trusted our stories, our use cases, our experience. They did not buy because of our database.
No.
But
it comes back to that same thing. It comes back to that authentic nature.
And I think,
correct.
Yeah. Well, emotions are what gets people to sign on the dotted line. The logic comes in before and after. So, you gotta have a methodology of sales that knows how to do that. But I like what Bill was talking about and what Philip was talking about, because Bill's talking about the fact that they can code. I'm not actually talking about that interview. We have this habit, this trend that I'm seeing, though, is when we talk about AI, we immediately think technical. So I have a lot of executives, as soon as I say AI, they want to hand it off to the technical officer.
Absolutely.
That's not really the best way to go. And the same thing for HR folks. Don't assume that the only time we're going to talk about AI is when we're bringing on a data scientist. That's not true either. I'm talking about a park ranger. I was on an airplane. The gal asked me, I just spent all this money on college. What happens now? Now, what I like about what Bill said is it's all about the wisdom. It's all about the wisdom. That part's not going away. And so the good news for us humans is that the wisdom's not going away, but can you get the wisdom into your tools to get it to work efficiently? So if you're a park ranger and You're going in an interview in 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. You guys have gotten away from the digital readers and the screen grabs because, as Philip says, AI-based recruiting has no gut, meaning it has no authenticity, which means you're going to hire somebody that is very silicon-based, so to speak, and now you have no authenticity in your commercialization plan. You're going to be screwed. HR is really going to be an important job, and if the HR folks can figure out how to master what I'm telling, I think you're going to be set. This is what I'm talking about. Everybody needs an avatar. Everybody needs their own account, and everybody needs that LLM learning about them so that when they come home from a hard day's of work and say, I really had a hard time because some bears got mixed up with the wolves and nobody told the wolves, and then there was somebody that got hurt. What am I going to do now to fix this in my job? And it's going to give you ideas, and you're going to layer on, then you're going to collaborate, and then you're going to come back to work the next day and go, I've got a solution that I didn't think of, but apparently over in Europe, they're doing this and this with their wildlife. And now that park ranger is way better and more authentic and more valuable to the park and recs department than the day before.
And I love that story. That is incredible.
Because she cares, because she
Absolutely
wants to know how to use AI the right way.
There's a passion.
Not cheat, not go in and go, okay, my boss wants me to write up a report on this incident and then load an AI, cut and paste, and then go out and have a beer. It's still down to the people. It's still down to the humans.
I love that.
I'm passionate about this topic because
I know you are. I love it. Don't get them started.
They're scared to death they're going to lose their job, and they're not. Just listen to me for a second.
So from an HR perspective, I couldn't agree more, right? Because there's one key factor that we touched on last week, but I really want to focus on for a moment today, and that's the ethics and the rules in business around using AI. Right? This is something critical. You said you don't just jump to the tech side. There is that human element. So for that park ranger who may or may not have technology at work, like in the forest ranger stand, the cabin thing, and they could have a computer there, I don't know, and they could have a computer there that they can use. That needs to be very separate from a business perspective. So if that person at home wants to use and create their own LLM, fantastic. But it's very important from an HR perspective and from a business perspective to have rules in the business as it relates to the AI, not just from a technical perspective, but from an ethics perspective and a usage perspective, right? Daren, you touched on it last week, the data that exists and how, right? And what is leaked out or shared and what isn't, right? Proprietary information that could go out. You know, how many years ago was it that the guy left the iPhone in the bar, remember? And everyone went bananas. It was a new prototype of an iPhone, right? It's that kind of thing at a technical level, right, within the GPT. So I think it's critical when I talk to my clients about setting that stage, right? Planning for how they're going to implement AI within a business is not just the technical side of it. That is beyond mandatory for so many reasons. And then being sure that people are trained properly, that they really understand what the business wants, why they're doing it. Again, that human element of what is this tool, because it is a tool. I used to say all the time when I was selling HR technology, okay, and I'll use it now for AI, I can go out and I can buy the most expensive piece of exercise equipment that exists. It can be diamond encrusted. It could have people yelling at me to work out. And if I stick it in the corner and hang my clothes on it, my butt's not getting any smaller. Okay. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Anybody can take that. It's absolutely the same, right? If I don't train my LLM, if I don't engage authentically, if I don't have rules established as to how to work, I'm so glad I'm making you guys laugh, then I don't know that there's any point to any of this, right? We have to learn how to do these things. And I think the thing that for me is kind of scary, and Daren, I'll end with this because you watched me implode a couple of months ago when I was trying to create some app thing and I lost my mind, is that it's now accessible in ways that technology never was, right? I can simply go online and pay $20 and I have access to something so powerful and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. None. No idea. I'll turn it over to you.
It's a great. Well, you know, I think the first thing that you talked about was the dark AI, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about dark coding and things like that. Now we have this new term called dark AI. And I've talked to, senior VPs and so on and so forth. And they're like, Daren, I know my people are using AI, but I didn't ask them to use AI. And so I go through, I can see who's logging in and where they're going. And I can see probably 40% of my employees are in ChatGPT and probably running amok with IP, somehow slightly leaking out, some of it. Most of the time, we're overthinking this IP thing, but yes, there are those stories. But I encourage all executives to really stop handing this over to the technical side. Just stop it, because this is like fire, right? It is of the level of fire. Everybody has access to it. Everybody can use it. Some of you going to get burned, and some of you going to make an amazing pork roast and going to make people's butts big. But the bottom line is that we have a responsibility to usher it into our companies. Absolutely. Pay for them to have something. Get started and start increasing the productivity. There are people that I've worked with that we had a whole plan to gradually bring them into the AI space as a company, meaning we had sales, we had the CEO, we had the technical officers, we had the IT department, we had the product department. You all have got to get into the orbit, and you've got to all start using it so that you can all talk about it when you're at the table.
You got to bring
that's the thing that I'm seeing. Yeah, everybody's treating this like the .com era. Listen, when .com came out, everybody had to pay for email. It didn't take off like this did. Perplexity has handed it to you and just said, here. And now you've got people driving and playing with this nuclear fire, and they're getting torched. And then they're like, oh, it's not going to work. Remember that executive roundtable that we had a couple of weeks ago? And there was a couple of executives that said, I haven't touched it. I'm afraid of it, and I'm not using it. Oh, I got it. And I get it. But this is like fire. So you're sitting around a campfire of another one of your tribes, and they're cooking the nice meal. And you're like, but I saw people get burned and their skin is peeled and then they blah, 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 blah. I get it. But you've got to take your own little version of it back to your house, and you've got to figure out how you're going to control it and manage it and get on top of it.
Heather, I love what Heather said, that that AI has no, what did you say, Heather? No empathy, no sensitivity. It has no EQ. No. Right. The problem that I have, we talked about this last week, is that when I start talking to it and I'm sitting at home alone working, and I think it's talking back because I read something and then it's in my head, and then I think it's still not a person. It's still not.
I have a good story, Shera.
It's a machine.
Yeah, it's still not human, but it talks like it's human, right? So here's a good example. And this is just a funny story. So again, I was in my own dungeon, building stuff. And I was questioning something from my build app to Claude. And I said, all right, can you run this information by, this is what it found, it has, and this is what I want, right, to be seen in this report. So Claude read it. And the first statement in bold caps and exclamation points, it said, holy shit, great discovery. We have it already in the system. I took a picture and sent it to Daren. I said, look what Claude just said to me. It said literally, holy shit. And I have screen shot to prove it. It started talking like that to me. It's because it knows I was frustrated. It knows I'm looking for something credible. It's going to give it to me because I keep going back and asking it, did you think twice? Did you think of this logic? I give it some variables to work with. I just don't say, do it for me. Let's put it that way, right? Because my brain has to be in it to know what I want to see and what I want it to do. So I have to help it, give it some context to the output that I want it to produce. Can't read my mind is what I'm saying.
But what keeps coming back to me is, if I hired a new employee to work on a manufacturing line, right, to make a car, if I hired a new guy at Ferrari, Daren, I'd give him training. I wouldn't let him touch it until he had adequate training and really knew what to do. And we wouldn't just go to the factory and build a car. And then we'll just go send it out there and put somebody on a track and let them go. I don't know how fast do they go, 400 miles an hour. I don't know how fast they go, 300. I don't know, however fast they go.
Learn on the job.
Right?
Learn on the job, yeah.
So I think we've got less than 10 minutes left, and I love the comments that we've had. And guys, just so you know, we are recording this and it will be available for you. So it's great. If you want to know if there's any more questions, please put them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. It's really unbelievable because I think the key thing for me is that I have to stop thinking that this is a person. It's not. And it's not somebody, there's a lot of knowledge. It may not be the knowledge I want. It may not be the knowledge I need. I may need to go to somebody else or something else for other knowledge. And I can't rely on one LLM, one place for what I need. I mean, I think so. For those of you who wrote that you're using multiples, I think that's fantastic because there's a check and balance right there. Daren, you brought up earlier, you wrote a book, and I would love for you to tell everyone about it a little bit because it's really exciting what you're doing.
Yeah, Apex 8 is the book. It launched, I think today's the anniversary. No, 2 more days. So it's less than a month ago, technically. But Apex 8 is designed for humans. It's designed for humans, and it's really about persuasion and sales. And it's really about learning how to keep the human parts in it. Thanks, Daisy.
I need
I don't have
sign.
mine yet, Daren. You need to send me mine.
Yeah, I know. I know. Everybody wants signed copies. But the really unique thing, though, that's in the book is a thing called prototyping. And you guys are talking about trust, and so I'll bring up this. I think it's chapter 3. It's chapter 3. It's called prototyping. The reason why prototyping is amazing for the sales guy. Now, there's some of you in the audience use prototyping in different ways, and in the persuasion game, prototyping is extremely powerful. But with prototyping, what you can do is you can build technical apps. You can do a mobile app. You can do a web page. You can do an assessment form. You can do all kinds of digital products in a prototyping process. But you can also do human elements. You can do presentation. You can do a play. You can do all kinds of things to prototype the concept that you're presenting, right? You're trying to persuade somebody. If you can show that to them authentically in real life, that's the great thing about prototyping. So, for example, in the transportation business, if somebody says, I want to have an app that tells me how it works for charging on any electric car, and I want to do that, well, then we will prototype it. And we can prototype now so much faster than we used to be able to pre-AI era, because the hard work, think about this, Shera, when we would do prototypes and we would go back to, to your place in Harlem, and we would build these. You'd have 18 of us in solution consultants, and we'd be banging out a demo.
And then we'd have somebody. We had somebody in the other room, Daren, doing this the whole time. Don't forget, it wasn't.
And someone doing this.
And someone doing this in the background.
How much money are you guys spending? How much money? Yeah. I can do it in 90 minutes now with my tools, right? So.
Right.
What I'm saying, though, is people are trying to figure out where the trust has gone. It's moved back in the cycle. The customer doesn't need you for consultative selling anymore. They want to know that you can do it. So you've got to bring prototyping in, bring your AI prototyping tools in, and show them in 90 minutes or less how you're going to bring them their dream. Amazing. Because they've already researched it for 3 days with Perplexity. They already know what they want.
It's amazing.
Stop trying to convince them of something and start showing them that you can do it. Prototype. That's my big point.
Very good point, Daren. Prototype. Very good point. To segue is that when you create that prototype, right? It's your experience giving it to come alive. The client has the idea. You're making it come alive for the client, right? So that's the trust factor that you're building, number one. Correct. And second, even though you might end up as a client or not, you still try to solve a solution. So you have to take that as one of your experience, of your knowledge. So use that as a use case, close business or not, it is still a solution provided that perhaps isn't. The client didn't realize that right now, the value that you're giving them, but another client will. So don't discount every solution that you come up with, even though it's different for each client. That's a story you need to tell on your website. As a use case, as just a story, as a newsletter on your LinkedIn, whatever it is, however you want to tell that story, it's your story. You lived it, tell it. It's how the marketing thing works. And if you live it and put it into words on a website, that's what my system does. So, and then we go through, if you're not producing all that, then I sit with you, and then me, Daren, as a CEO, will go, okay, these are the findings of Grok. This is the findings from ChatGPT, and these are the findings from Perplexity. These are the things you're weak at for these sites, and these sites have different sources also how they gather current stuff. Example, Grok will take current social events through Twitter or X. So it has its source, right? So guess what? If you want to post something to get noticed by Grok, keep posting at X.
It's so interesting. I think I told you guys last week when we were getting ready for our session, I thought it'd be really funny to create a little AI video and post it up as a reminder to everyone, don't forget, we're going to be live tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I follow all the analytics because I'm promoting my business through LinkedIn, and it got nothing. It got nothing. I think like 3 people saw it. I thought it was the funniest thing of all. Guess what? It wasn't authentic. Even though it had that element, that AI video wasn't authentic. It didn't connect with people. And we're closing up. We're at time. I don't see any other questions, so I'll wrap this up. We are our stories. We are human. And companies are still made up of humans, no matter what they are. And the world is still made up of humans, no matter what happens. So I think it's important to continue this conversation. Again, I want to welcome anybody who wants to participate. This is an open forum. If you do, please reach out to me and we'll bring you on to any of our events. And we're going to do this every week because we're having a great time and we want to share our conversation. And we love to riff on this and we could talk about it forever. But I want to make sure you all... Yeah, we do. But I want to make sure, too, that you all know how to reach us, because obviously if you came from me, you know how, if I invited you, you know how to get to us. But Daren and Daisy, if you want to quickly just say how to get a hold of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can come right to my LinkedIn profile and just follow, connect. I welcome a lot of people. I love having a lot of feedback loops. Of course, you can go to lloydsventures.group. So lloydsventures.group is my AI consulting, my value creation partnership firm. So come by.
Fantastic.
Come by and say
Daisy,
hi. Always happy to talk about this.
Yay.
Yeah. So I still need Daren to help me with sales. So even though I'm in marketing, doesn't mean that I'm good at sales. Okay, let's put it that way. Marketing and sales are 2 different things. That would be our next topic, I guess. So I'm DW Concepts. It's basically I'm a marketing consulting company, but I have products that are under the LumaPath brand. My products are under LumaPath. So those are all my technology stuff. So I'm from a HIPAA content creator studio to my AEO blueprint that's going to be launching soon, where we can guide you with how to get found by AI, basically, is what we do.
I love it.
So anyway, branding. So everything that has to do with making yourself human so that AI can find you in the marketing space, that's basically what I do.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining. I would love to have a in-person or a remote kind of Zoom coffee meeting with anybody who would love to get together and talk one-on-one anytime. And we welcome you back. We'll be back here next week, same time. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Daren and Daisy. This was, again, such a blast.
Thank you, Shera.
Have a great...
Thank you, Shera. Thanks for
everyone.
all the great
everybody.
conversation.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.